The birthday party was held at my father's flagship restaurant, Morrison's Italian Kitchen. My daughter, Lily, was turning 10. Despite everything, despite years of minimal contact and maximum judgment, I'd accepted his offer to host her party. He'd insisted. Family should celebrate together. He'd said on the phone, "I'll take care of everything." I should have known better. The restaurant's private dining room was decorated with balloons and streamers. My father's new wife, Denise, was there with her 2 children from a previous marriage, both around Lily's age. My father's siblings, a few cousins, some family friends, about 20 people total. The food was excellent, as expected. My father might be many things, but his restaurant served good Italian food. That's why Morrison's Italian Kitchen had 5 locations across 2 states and generated $8 million annually. Or at least that's what the business generated now, under new ownership. Gift time came after cake. Denise's children went first, opening their presents in front of everyone like a performance. Her son opened a new gaming console, the latest model, probably $500. The box was enormous, professionally wrapped. Her daughter got a designer handbag that I recognized from a boutique downtown, at least $300. Both children squealed with appropriate delight, hugging their grandfather and posing for photos. Lily's turn, my father announced, wheeling out a large cart with several wrapped boxes stacked on it. The boxes were elaborately wrapped in gold paper with white ribbons, looking expensive and thoughtful. I got my granddaughter something very special this year. Lily looked at me nervously. She had learned to be cautious around her grandfather, had picked up on the subtle ways he dismissed us, the jokes that weren't quite jokes, the comments that stung. But she was 10, and the boxes looked promising. Maybe this time would be different. She opened the first one carefully, trying not to tear the pretty paper. Inside was an empty pizza box. Morrison's logo printed on top, the cardboard clean but clearly used. Nothing inside, not even crumbs. Lily stared at it, confused. "Is there something underneath?" "Keep going," my father said, his smile widening. "There's more." The second box held empty pasta containers, the kind the restaurant used for takeout orders, the clear plastic ones with Morrison's logo on the lid. Clean, but obviously empty. She opened each one, checking. Nothing. The third box was filled with empty bread baskets, the wicker kind from the restaurant tables, and sauce cups with dried remnants around the rims. Lily looked up at me, her confusion turning to hurt as she realized this wasn't a joke with a punchline coming. This was the joke. "It's a joke, sweetie," my father said loudly. "You need to practice being hungry. Poor kids stay hungry, right? Your mom can't afford to feed you properly on her little salary, so I thought I'd help you get used to it." The room erupted in laughter. My father's brother nearly choked on his wine. A cousin slapped the table. Denise covered her mouth, giggling. Lily's eyes filled with tears. She looked at the empty containers, at the laughing adults, at me. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Your mom made choices," my father continued, enjoying his audience. "Left the family. Decided to make it on her own. Proud and foolish. Now look where it got her. Struggling. Can barely afford that apartment you live in. I'm teaching you early. When you come from nothing, you stay nothing." More laughter. Someone made a joke about food banks. Another person mentioned welfare. I'd been sitting quietly, watching this performance. I'd known something was coming. My father couldn't resist humiliating me, especially in front of family. It's who he was. I reached into my bag and pulled out a manila folder. "Actually, Dad, I'm glad you brought up finances and business success. I've been meaning to talk to you about that." "About what?" "How you need money." "I'm not a bank, Catherine." "No, you're not a bank. You're an employee, my employee." The laughter stopped abruptly. The room went from boisterous to silent in seconds. "What are you talking about?" I opened the folder and pulled out documents, spreading them across the table so everyone could see. Morrison's Italian Kitchen. 5 locations across Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Annual revenue approximately $8 million, but struggling with $600,000 in accumulated debt, declining customer numbers by 15% year over year, poor cost management, and vendor contracts that were bleeding money. 8 months ago, you needed capital desperately to avoid bankruptcy. The bank was threatening to call your business loans. My father's face went from confused to red. "That's private business information." "How do you?" "It's my business information. You sold 65% of Morrison's Italian Kitchen to an investment firm called Cascade Holdings." Do you remember signing the papers? Meeting with your attorney and banker? Reviewing multiple offers from potential investors? I took on investors, partners, business partners. I'm still in charge of my restaurants. You're the general manager, an employee. I am the owner. I slid the core documents across the table. Cascade Holdings LLC is my company. I bought your restaurants 8 months ago for $3.2 million. My father snatched the papers with shaking hands. Certificate of ownership showing Cascade Holdings owning 65% of Morrison's Italian Kitchen. Incorporated transfer documents with his signature clearly visible at the bottom. Articles of incorporation listing Catherine Morrison as principal and managing member of Cascade Holdings LLC. Bank records showing a wire transfer of $3,200,000 from Cascade Holdings to David Morrison. This can't be real. It's very real. Your attorney handled the sale. You signed everything. You just never asked who was buying. Denise grabbed the documents from him. David, you sold the restaurants. You told me you owned them outright. I do own them. I built them. You own 35%. I corrected. You sold majority control to raise capital. All transactions were legal and documented. You met with investors through your banker, reviewed offers, accepted mine. The fact that you didn't bother to learn who was behind Cascade Holdings isn't my problem. My father's brother leaned over to look at the papers. Holy shit, David. Your daughter owns your business. I own 65% of a restaurant chain that was failing under mismanagement. The board of directors reports to me. Major decisions require my approval. Dad, here is salaried management. I pulled out another document. Your employment contract. Signed 8 months ago. $180,000 annually. Standard benefits. Employment at will. The room was silent now. All the relatives who'd been laughing watched my father process this information. This is still my restaurant, he said weakly. My name's on the door. The trademark for Morrison's Italian Kitchen is owned by Cascade Holdings, the parent company. My company. The recipes, the branding, the locations, all of it. You're an employee who happens to have the same last name as the business. I turned to Lily, who was watching with wide eyes. Sweetie, why don't you go with Aunt Mary to the main dining room and order whatever dessert you want, the real kind, with actual food in it? My sister-in-law, who'd always been kind to us, quickly ushered Lily out. I waited until they were gone before continuing. Let's talk about why I'm telling you this now, Dad. 8 months ago, when I bought majority control, I planned to stay silent. Let you keep running things, just provide oversight. Fix the financials quietly. But tonight you gave my daughter empty food containers and told her to practice being hungry. You humiliated a 10-year-old child to make yourself feel superior. It was a joke. It was cruel. Just like you've always been cruel about my choices. I left home at 18. You told me I'd fail. I built a career in private equity. You said I was wasting my time. I now manage a $200 million investment fund. You assumed I was poor. My father's face had gone from red to pale. The truth is, Dad, I've been successful for years. When your restaurant started failing, when you needed investors, I saw an opportunity, not for revenge, but for business. I paid fair market value for a controlling stake in an underperforming asset. You're my daughter, you should have told me. You're my father. You should have asked about my life at some point in the last 12 years instead of assuming I was struggling. Denise stood up. David, we need to talk, privately. Sit down, I said calmly. This is a business discussion. It concerns everyone here who's been enjoying Dad's supposed success. I pulled out another folder. Performance review. As general manager, Dad's decisions have cost the business approximately $200,000 annually in unnecessary overhead and poor vendor contracts. Customer satisfaction scores have declined 15% over 3 years. 2 locations are barely profitable. You've been reviewing my work? I'm the owner. It's my job. And here's what I've found. You're not very good at running restaurants. You're good at cooking. Good at front-of-house charm. Terrible at actual management. My uncle spoke up. Catherine, this is harsh. He's your father. He just gave my daughter empty food containers and made her cry. I'm being professional. I could be much harsher. I closed the folder. Here's what happens next. Monday morning, we have a meeting, you, me, and an HR representative. We'll discuss your future with the company. Option 1. You stay as general manager with significantly reduced authority and heavy oversight. Option 2. You resign, Take a generous severance package and keep your 35% ownership stake as a passive investor. You can't fire me. I'm the majority owner. I can restructure any position. You're employed at will. I have documented performance issues. I absolutely can fire you. I'm being kind by offering resignation as an option. This is my business, my legacy. Your legacy is 5 restaurants that were failing until I bought them. Your name is on the door, but I own the door. I stood up. Think about your options. The meeting is at 9 Monday morning. I walked out to find Lily in the main dining room with my sister-in-law, eating a piece of chocolate cake that actually had substance. Can we go home, Mom? Yes, sweetheart. And we're not coming back here for family events. In the car, Lily was quiet for several minutes before asking, "Did you really buy Grandpa's restaurants?" Yes. Why didn't you tell anyone? Because it was business, not personal. But tonight made it personal. He was cruel to you. That's not acceptable. Are you going to fire him? I'm going to give him options. What he chooses is up to him. Monday's meeting was predictably difficult. My father arrived with Denise and an attitude of defiance. He'd spent the weekend convincing himself I was bluffing. The HR representative, a professional I'd hired from outside the company, laid out everything: performance documentation, financial analysis, market comparisons showing other restaurant groups with better metrics. These restaurants could be generating $10 million annually with proper management, she concluded. They're underperforming by 25%. My father tried to argue, tried to blame the economy, competition, changing demographics. I let him talk himself out. Your choice, I finally said. Stay with oversight and performance requirements or resign with severance. You're doing this because of empty pizza boxes. I'm doing this because you've been mismanaging a business I own. The pizza boxes just made me stop avoiding the decision. He chose resignation. Pride wouldn't let him accept oversight. The severance was generous, $100,000, and he kept his 35% ownership stake. As a passive shareholder, he'd receive dividend distributions but have no operational authority. I hired a professional restaurant manager with 20 years of experience. She implemented changes immediately, updated the menu, improved cost controls, enhanced marketing, trained staff properly. 6 months later, revenue was up 30%. Customer satisfaction scores increased. 2 of the struggling locations became profitable. I opened a 3rd location in a new market. My father received his first dividend check as a passive shareholder, $80,000 for 6 months. More than he contributed to the business in the entire previous year. He called me. The restaurants are doing well. Yes, professional management helps. I saw the new menu. It's good. Different but good. The new GM knows what she's doing. Silence on the line. Then, I was wrong about the empty boxes. About a lot of things. Yes, you were. Can I apologize to Lily? You can send a letter. If she wants to see you after that, it'll be her choice. He sent the letter. Lily read it, thought about it, and decided she wanted nothing to do with her grandfather. She was old enough to make that choice. Denise divorced my father 14 months after the party. Turns out she married him for his success and status. When he became an employee with dividend income instead of a restaurant owner with authority, she lost interest. My father moved to a smaller house. Lived comfortably on his dividend income and severance, but not lavishly. Watched from the sidelines as I expanded Morrison's Italian Kitchen to 8 locations across 3 states. His legacy became that his daughter built what he couldn't maintain. 2 years after the birthday party, Lily and I were at one of the newer Morrison's locations. A family at the next table was celebrating a birthday. The father was making the toast about how proud he was of his daughter's achievements. Lily watched them, then looked at me. Do you think Grandpa understands now? Understands what? That the empty boxes were never about me being poor. They were about him feeling small. That's very wise. You taught me that. You showed me that when people try to make you feel small, sometimes you just show them how big you actually are. I kept one of those empty pizza boxes from the party. It sits on a shelf in my office at Cascade Holdings, between a photo of Lily and a framed Forbes article about successful women in private equity. People ask why I keep an empty pizza box in such a prominent place. I tell them it's a reminder that empty gestures reveal more about the person giving them than the person receiving them. My father gave Lily empty containers and told her to practice being hungry. I gave him a business structure where he practiced being humble. Both were lessons. Only one of us meant ours kindly.